What's up guys, welcome to part 2 of this video. Now if you didn't watch part 1, you should definitely go watch that first, because in there I talk about the criteria upon which these draft steals were selected, and if you don't watch that, you might be a little bit confused about what I chose in this video. But otherwise, we'll continue on with the Los Angeles Clippers. DeAndre Jordan, the 35th pick in the 2008 draft. On paper, a freakishly athletic 7-footer should never fall as low as DeAndre did in the 2008 draft. But concerns surrounding his maturity and poor basketball fundamentals made many teams hesitant to give him a shot. By his third season, DeAndre was the starting center for the Clippers, playing alongside fellow big man Blake Griffin. In his 5th season, the Clippers saw the arrival of Doc Rivers, their new head coach. While Doc Rivers has had a controversial tenure with the Clippers, one of the positive things he did do for the Clippers was develop DeAndre Jordan into one of the best rebounders and defenders in the league. Since 2014, DeAndre has had 3 All-NBA team selections as well as 2 first-team All-Defense selections. Honorable mention goes to Eric Bledsoe, the 18th pick in the 2010 draft. The Los Angeles Lakers. Kobe Bryant, the 13th pick in 1996. I'm sure many of you guys are familiar with the story behind how Kobe ended up as a Laker. After seeing Kobe work out as a high schooler, Lakers GM Jerry West knew instantly that he was going to be special and engineered the draft day trade that landed the Lakers the 18-year-old star player. Honorable mention here goes to Nick Van Exel, who was taken with the 37th pick in 1993. The Memphis Grizzlies. Kyle Lowry, the 24th pick in 2006. While Lowry only spent 2.5 seasons in Memphis with little production, he would eventually develop into an all-star player for the Toronto Raptors. Now you might be wondering, why isn't Marc Gasol here? Well, Gasol was drafted by the Lakers, and after 6 months, he was then traded to Memphis. Because the Lakers didn't draft him with the immediate intention of trading him to Memphis, he doesn't qualify by our criteria as a Memphis draft pick, although he does deserve an honorable mention here. The Miami Heat. Mario Chalmers, the 34th pick in the 2008 draft. Despite hitting one of the clutchest shots in basketball history in the 2008 NCAA championship game, not much was made of Chalmers as an NBA prospect, and while he never developed into a star, Chalmers was a steady role player for the Miami Heat, serving the role as starting point guard and 4th option for the famous Miami Heat's Big Three that went to 4 consecutive NBA Finals and won 2 championships. A good defender and 3-point shooter, Chalmers' most memorable performance is likely his 25-point performance in Game 4 of the 2012 Finals. Honorable mention goes to Eddie House, the 37th pick of the 2000 NBA Draft. The Milwaukee Bucks. Yanis Antetokounmpo, the 15th pick of the 2013 draft. Although he is just 23 years old, Yanis has already made all 14 teams that passed on him regret their decision to do so. There's no telling what his potential is, but even if he doesn't get much better than what he is right now, it will most certainly be more than the Bucks could have ever asked for from a non-lottery pick. Honorable mention goes to Alex English, who was taken with the 23rd pick in the 1976 draft. After looking through every NBA team, the Timberwolves have probably had the worst luck with their late draft picks. But seriously, I mean, the closest thing to a Timberwolves draft steal is probably Nikola Pekovic, the 31st pick in the 2008 draft, or maybe Zach LaVine, the 13th pick in the 2014 draft. Oh, and honorable mention go to Ricky Rubio and Johnny Flynn, aka the 2 point guards the Timberwolves took instead of Steph Curry. The New Orleans Pelicans. David West, the 18th pick in the 2003 NBA draft. While David West might not be the biggest name from the 2003 draft, he's about as good a player as you can ask for or hope for with the 18th pick. West was a 2-time All-Star and functioned as the second option behind Chris Paul for the Hornets playoff teams. Later, West also became a valuable starter for the Indiana teams that challenged the LeBron-led Miami Heat from 2012 to 2014. Last year, West became an NBA champion with the Golden State Warriors. Honorable mention goes to J.R. Smith, the 18th pick in 2004. The New York Knicks. David Lee, the 30th pick in 2005. While the younger generation may only remember Lee as a role player for the 2015 Warriors championship team, David Lee was much more than that in his prime. A double-double machine, David Lee put forth multiple seasons where he averaged 20 points and 10 rebounds, resulting in 2 All-Star selections in his 12-year NBA career. Honorable mentions go to Mark Jackson, the 18th pick in the 1987 draft, and Trevor Ariza, the 43rd pick in the 2004 draft. The Oklahoma City Thunder. Dennis Johnson, the 29th pick in the 1976 draft. Easily one of the most underrated players of the 80s, DJ was a 5-time All-Star and was named to 9 consecutive All-Defensive Team selections from 1979 to 1987. He was the Finals MVP in 1979, leading the Supersonics to their first and only championship in franchise history. DJ was also an important player for the Boston Celtics and provided a crucial role in helping the Celtics win the championship in 1984 and 1986. Honorable mentions go to Rashard Lewis, the 32nd pick in 1998, and Shawn Kemp, the 17th pick in 1989. The Orlando Magic, Jameer Nelson, the 20th pick in the 2004 draft. While the Magic have had tremendous success with their top picks like drafting Shaq and Dwight with their first overall pick or Penny Hardaway with the 3rd pick, they haven't had as much success with their late picks. Nelson is the closest thing they came to having a draft steal, a solid starting point guard that made the All-Star team once back in 2009, also the year when the Magic made the NBA Finals. There are no honorable mentions for the Orlando Magic. The Philadelphia 76ers, Maurice Cheeks, the 36th pick in the 1978 draft. In his 15 seasons in the NBA, Maurice Cheeks was a 4-time All-Star and 4-time first-team All-Defense selection. He was also an important member of the Sixers championship team in 1983. Honorable mention goes to Lou Williams, the 45th pick in the 2005 NBA draft. The Phoenix Suns, Steve Nash, the 15th pick in the 1996 draft. Not much was made of Steve Nash in his first couple years in the league. After averaging 3.3 points per game as a rookie, Nash would eventually develop into an all-star in Dallas, and later he would return to Phoenix and become the orchestrator for one of the most revolutionary offenses in the history of the NBA. Even today, in 2018, plenty of coaches at the high school, college, and professional levels ask their point guards to study Steve Nash on film. And hey, he's a 2-time MVP for a reason. Honorable mention goes to Jeff Hornacek, the 46th pick in 1986. The Portland Trailblazers, Terry Porter, the 24th pick of the 1985 draft. By just his second season in the league, Porter became the starting point guard for the Trailblazers. He would go on to be a 2-time All-Star, the all-time leader in assists for the Trailblazers, and will be remembered as an integral part of the early 90s Blazers that made the finals in 1990 and 1992. Honorable mention goes to Cliff Robinson, the 26th pick in the 1989 draft, and Drazen Petrovic, the 60th pick in the 1986 draft. The Sacramento Kings, Isaiah Thomas, the 60th pick in the 2011 draft. I'm sure most of us are familiar with Isaiah Thomas's rise to NBA stardom, a 5'9" guard who nobody even cared to talk to on draft nights that ended up becoming an all-star and all-NBA player, leading the Celtics to the first seed in 2017, putting forth heroic performances in the playoffs. A true inspiration to anyone who was ever told they were too short to be an NBA star. Honorable mention goes to Hassan Whiteside, the 33rd pick of the 2010 draft. The San Antonio Spurs, Manu Ginobili, the 57th pick in the 1999 draft. When you turn the 57th pick in the draft into a 2-time All-Star, 4-time champion, 6th Man of the Year, and potential future Hall of Famer, you've done pretty well. But as unbelievable a draft steal as Ginobili was, you could have easily given his spot to the 2 other honorable mentions. Kawhi Leonard, the 15th pick in the 2011 draft, or Tony Parker, the 28th pick in the 2001 draft. The Toronto Raptors, Tracy McGrady, the 9th pick in the 1997 draft. Although he only played 3 years in Toronto, T-Mac gave the NBA some of its best moments in the 2000s. An unstoppable scorer in his prime, McGrady's career was unfortunately shortchanged by constant injury problems. Nonetheless, the Raptors grabbing the second best player in the draft with the 9th pick is enough for this selection. Honorable mention goes to DeMar DeRozan, who was also taken with the 9th pick, but in 2009 instead. The Utah Jazz, Paul Millsap, the 47th pick of the 2006 draft. Coming out of Georgia, here's what scouts said about Paul Millsap. He's clearly uncomfortable operating outside of 12 feet, possessing very basic ball handling skills and not enough range on his jump shot, at least not on a consistent basis. Defensively, he does understand how to use his body and position himself. This does not compensate for a lack of lateral quickness, however, and he will need to improve his defense to become a regular rotation power forward in the NBA. 10 years later, Paul Millsap has developed into a 4-time All-Star, a versatile player that gives you a little bit of everything on both ends of the court. Honorable mention goes to Karl Malone, the 13th pick of the 1985 draft. And finally, the Washington Wizards, Truck Robinson, the 22nd pick of the 1974 draft. Truck Robinson was drafted by the Washington Bullets, and in his rookie year, he played backup to Hall of Famer Elvin Hayes, who that season led the Bullets to the NBA Finals. Eventually, Robinson would go on to become a two-time All-Star in the NBA. His most impressive season came in 1978, where he led the league in rebounding at 15.7 rebounds per game, beating out legendary centers like Moses Malone, Kareem, Bill Walton, and Dave Cowens. Honorable mention goes to George Muresan, the 30th pick in the 1993 draft. Alright guys, that's it for this two-part series. I hope you enjoyed this video and part 1. If you disagree or agree with any of the picks, just drop them down in comments below. But of course, as with many things, there usually isn't any right answer. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.